They say sharing a secret binds you together forever, whether you want it to or not. I learned that the hard way. My ex and I had a secret so big it could destroy lives, and after years of silence, she's back, begging me to keep it buried. It all started 6 years ago. I was a 24-year-old freelance photographer in Chicago. Life was unpredictable, and I loved it. One summer, I was hired to shoot a charity gala, and that's where I met Emily. She was elegant, confident, and had this quiet intelligence that just drew you in. She wasn't loud or flashy, just effortlessly charming. Our worlds collided when I accidentally spilled champagne on her dress while trying to get a shot. I apologized 100 times, and she just laughed it off, saying, "If this ends up on the front page, at least make sure I look good." That was the beginning. We started dating, and it was one of those fast, magnetic relationships that makes you forget time. Within months, we moved in together. She was calm where I was chaotic, organized where I was impulsive. We balanced each other out perfectly. For the first time, I genuinely thought I'd found the one. But there was always something off about Emily. She was fiercely protective of her phone, secretive about her job, and would sometimes disappear for hours without explanation. When I'd ask, she'd just smile and say, "Work things. You wouldn't understand." I wanted to trust her. I really did. Until the night everything changed. It was late November. We were having dinner when her phone started buzzing repeatedly. She tried to ignore it, but when she went to the bathroom, my curiosity got the better of me. I know, it's not something I'm proud of, but I glanced at the screen. The message preview read, "We can't keep this hidden much longer." My stomach just dropped. When she came back, I confronted her. She froze, then quietly said, "It's not what you think." But the look in her eyes told me it was exactly what I thought. She was hiding something huge. After a long, tense silence, she finally said, "Can we go somewhere private tomorrow? I'll explain everything. I promise." The next evening we drove to a quiet park outside the city. Rain was drumming on the windshield as we sat in her car. She stared ahead for what felt like an eternity before saying, "Before I met you, I worked in crisis communications for a private medical research firm. They were developing a drug for degenerative diseases, but it had serious side effects. Dangerous ones." I frowned. "Okay, but what does that have to do with you?" She hesitated, then whispered, "I helped cover it up." The words hit me like a punch to the gut. She explained how the company buried evidence that the drug had caused deaths during testing. They paid off families, they altered reports, and she was part of the PR team that made it all disappear. "I didn't realize the extent of it until it was too late," she said, her voice trembling. "And when I finally spoke up, they threatened me." "Threatened you how?" I asked. She turned to me, tears in her eyes. "They said they'd ruin me. Legally, professionally, even personally. They know things about me, about my family. So I quit and tried to start over. Then I met you." My mind was spinning. "So what's happening now? Why are they messaging you again?" She looked down. "Because someone's talking. One of the old researchers went to the press, and the company's trying to find out who else knows. They think I might still have the files." "Do you?" She nodded slowly. "I kept copies, just in case. They're on a flash drive hidden in our apartment." That was the moment I realized just how deep we were in. Any sane person would have walked away. But looking at her, I just couldn't leave her like that. We decided to move the files somewhere safe, just in case. That night, we drove to my friend Nate's place out in the suburbs. He owed me a big favor. We stored the flash drive in his safe, under a false name, hoping it would never see the light of day. A week later, the story broke. The company's name was plastered all over the news, whistleblowers, lawsuits, government investigations. Emily's name was never mentioned, but she looked terrified every time the TV came on. Then one morning, I woke up, and she was gone. No note, no call, nothing. Her clothes, her phone charger, even her toothbrush, all gone. I tried calling, texting, emailing. Silence. For months, I heard nothing. Eventually, I had to accept that she had vanished for good. Life moved on. I rebuilt my career, moved to a new apartment, and tried to forget. But no matter how hard I tried, I could never shake the memory of that night in the car, her voice trembling as she told me about the secret she was running from. And now, 6 years later, that secret has come knocking on my door once again. Thanks for listening to my story. If you're hooked and want to find out what happens next, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss part 2. 3 years later, I got an email from an unknown address. The subject line read, "We need to talk. It's Emily." My heart nearly stopped. She asked to meet at a small cafe downtown. When I saw her, I barely recognized her. She looked thinner, older, haunted. "Where did you go?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. She sighed, her gaze darting around the room. "Into hiding. The company went down, but some of the executives, the ones who made it all happen, they're still powerful. They've been trying to track down everyone involved." "And the flash drive?" I asked, already knowing the answer. "That's why I'm here," she said quietly. "They think I still have it. I need you to destroy it." I was stunned. "You want me to destroy the only evidence that could keep them accountable?" Her eyes filled with tears. "You don't understand. They're not after justice anymore. They want revenge. They've already gone after people who spoke out. Fake charges, ruined careers, even threats. I can't live like this anymore." I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to protect her, to just make it all go away. But another part, the part that still believed in doing what's right, couldn't agree. "Emily," I said, "that drive could help so many people. If it proves what they did, you can't just erase it." She slammed her hand on the table, making the coffee cups jump. "You think I don't know that? I've lived every single day with that guilt. But I am done paying for their crimes. I just want to disappear." She looked at me, her expression pleading. "Please. You're the only one I can trust." I told her I needed time to think. That night, I drove to my friend Nate's house. He still had the same old safe in his office. I laid out the entire story, everything from the start. He stared at me for a long time, and then said, "You can't destroy that man. If what she's saying is true, that drive's worth more than both our lives." He was right. The next day, I called an old college friend, Maria, who was now a big-shot investigative journalist. I told her about the files, about Emily, about the danger. She was cautious but agreed to meet on one condition. She would protect Emily's identity no matter what. I hesitated before telling Emily. When I finally did, she broke down. "You betrayed me," she whispered, the words like daggers. "No," I said softly. "I'm trying to free you." For days, she refused to speak to me. Then, out of the blue, she agreed to meet Maria. The interview took hours. Emily handed over everything, the files, her emails, the records. When it was all over, she hugged me for the first time in years and said, "Maybe now I can stop running." 2 months later, the story went global. The company's surviving executives were indicted. Victims' families finally got the answers they deserved. Emily's name was never revealed, but she knew she'd helped end it for good. For a while, it seemed like peace had finally come. Until one evening, I got another message from her. Just 2 words. "They found me." I called her immediately, but the number was already disconnected. That night, I barely slept. I called Maria, who said she'd lost contact with Emily days earlier. We filed a missing person report, but there was no trace. No hotel records, no transactions, nothing. It was as if she'd vanished into thin air again. Weeks turned into months. Then one morning, I found a small envelope taped to my front door. No name, no address. Inside was a single key and a note that read, "For when it starts again. E." I don't know where she is, or if she's safe. But sometimes when I see news about corporate scandals or whistleblowers, I think of her. And that night in the rain, when she trusted me with her secret. I still keep that key. I don't even know what it opens. Maybe a locker, maybe a storage unit, or maybe it's just a symbol, her way of saying the secret isn't over. People think love ends when 2 people walk away, but sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it lingers like an unfinished sentence, haunting you forever. And as for Emily, Wherever she is, I hope she finally found her peace. Because even now, years later, her plea still echoes in my head. Please, don't let them find it. Thanks for listening. If this story moved you, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing for more. See you next time.